Hi, my name's Claire. I thought I'd send this video in. Apologise for the setting and the outfit. I'm actually currently on my way back to Australia. I went home for Christmas and I've been delayed in Doha, but I thought I would just get this done now and send it to you and maybe get ahead of the curve. So, yeah, I think so. I'll just go straight into the questions really. Why am I passionate about being a physiotherapist? So my kind of passion for physio started with my interest in the human body. So I had a lot of injuries when I was younger, playing a lot of sport, and I just found it amazing the ability of my body to heal and recover. I think since qualifying though, although I find the science behind recovery and rehab really fascinating, I think it's more the human aspect that I love. So my speciality is actually in major trauma rehab. So my previous job in the NHS, where I've been working for the past couple of years, I would rotate between intensive care, neurosurgery, stroke, and polytrauma. And I just think the effect that you can have on these patients' lives or their quality of life is inexplicable. I love that every day I'm faced with new challenges and problems to solve, even when you see the same patients day in, day out. Every day changes because every day there may be something else to factor into your rehab, whether that's an acute illness, whether that's motivation levels. I just think it brings something new every day. And I find it combines science and evidence-based rehabilitation with the human aspect of rehab. And I just think the skill of being able to motivate and engage patients in the rehab process while empathizing with them is just, it's something I love. And I just think the human strength to keep going after life-changing injuries or diagnosis is really, really impressive. Where that sort of came from, I started off my career wanting to be an MSK physio. I think, but as soon as I spent any time on the wards or on rehab units, I realised that actually, like acute rehab was where my passion lies. In my opinion, I think it's not only a lot more complex, but you're often tackling massive, complex physical presentations alongside acute illness or comorbidities. Or just patients can be maybe be such low level that it's actually really difficult to even get them started in that rehab process. But I also feel that the payoff and sort of the outcomes you get are so much better. Don't get me wrong, you don't always get good outcomes every time. I think we all know that. But when you get someone to be able to walk again, or someone who can pick up their child again, or even someone lower levels that you can maybe get from being bedbound to be able to transfer into a wheelchair so they can access the outdoors, I can't really imagine a better feeling than that. But also the part about sort of the acute rehab or the more rehab process that I love is the MDT working. So I think you're never alone. It's always, you need to always look at a holistic approach to these patients. You need to brainstorm, but it also means you're kind of in it together. I've always played team sports growing up, and I just feel like the feeling you get from working together, being supported by your colleagues and helping a patient holistically is just kind of unrivaled. So um, I'll go on to the next question before I just waffle away about why I like physio. Why do I want to be a part of the West Coast Neuro team? So, as I said before, I think throughout my career, I've spent a lot of time on stroke rehab boards, in Parkinson's and MS clinics, as well as more like acute neuroservices, like neurosurge. And also, I worked on a spinal cord injury unit called Rookwood. So, we were the spinal cord rehab unit for the southwest of England and Wales. I wanted to work for West Coast Neuros because I find the challenges of neurorehabilitation the most rewarding. But I also feel potentially the services where I've worked with previously are maybe lacking in a bit of funding, and those we get to the point with patients where there's so much more I want to do, but we don't necessarily have the funding or the time, or they've reached a certain level that we have to discharge them because all of these services I worked in are within the NHS, and we face lots of the issues that you face within the NHS in terms of time with patients and facilities and funding. Um, I mean, when I was in stroke rehab and spinal cord unit, we had a lot of great facilities. We had a good gym, we had like anti-gravity treadmills, maybe T-bikes, electrical stimulation. But again, we maybe had one for the whole unit and 30 patients to see. And I just think patients deserve the best rehabilitation possible and holistic treatment as possible. And I think I want to be able to expand my knowledge in more of the higher functioning patient groups you'll see in sort of the community at West Coast Neuro. Just being able to have the time and the equipment to provide these patients with the best possible rehabilitation we can. I think, yeah, that's kind of why I want to move into the more clinic side of things. I think what I will really bring to your team or benefit your team with is the knowledge I can bring of the more medically acute lower functioning neurological conditions from patients, as well as sort of my years of experience working with complex comorbidity patients. Like I said, I have a year's experience in community clinics, community physio, working with sort of Parkinson's and MS patients, but obviously my experience or expertise lies with more like semi-acute stroke rehab, spinal cord injury, and acute sort of neurosurge or acute stroke wards. So I think what I will be able to bring to you will be a different set of eyes and a view to your team, as well as maybe a bit more medical knowledge potentially from intensive care and neurosurge, and those like early stage spinal cord injuries. So yeah, I think it would sort of be, I would be a good addition to your team from that more acute side of things, although I have a lot of experience working in the rehab side. Probably waffling on a little bit. But what is my favourite sports person and why? So this one I'm probably a little bit biased, as he's from my hometown, but I think it would be the cyclist Geraint Thomas. He's a professional cyclist who previously won the Tour de France. I'm not sure how big cycling is in Australia. I know you have a few cyclists here, but it's a big thing back home. I think, in my opinion, the mental as well as the physical strength and determination it takes to excel at road cycling just kind of sets it above other sports. I feel like I can say that because I have previously played international rugby, but I just think you get such a more mental game in professional cycling. When you're on the pitch, for example, in rugby or team sports, you're surrounded by your teammates. And I know cycling is a team sport, but when you're halfway through a grade 1 sort of category climb, it's just you up there. And I think it becomes such a mental game. And I think the combination of sort of the fitness and dedication alongside the mental challenges sets this sport apart. And I also think it can really be linked to like what our patients go through. Like, not only is rehab a physical challenge, but I think some people massively underplay the mental aspect of it and the motivation and determination it takes for these patients. So yeah, that's why I'd say Geraint Thomas is my favourite sports person. Sorry if I've waffled on a bit. I know I've spoke for 7 minutes instead of 3, but yeah, if you have any other questions, please let me know.